Welcome to Canada's podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Phil Bliss, founder and CEO of Canada's podcast, coming to you today from Toronto. Today, we're going to meet Ryan Walker, who's CEO and managing partner of Central Station, an independent creative agency based in Toronto. Central Station's been around for a while, blending experiential marketing, digital innovation, AI-driven strategies for many of the top brands. Ryan brings quite a unique perspective to the conversation around disruption in marketing. He's got a background in engineering and 20 years in the creative business. And he kind of revolutionized how brands engaged with this much more technology, AI-based marketing environment. Ryan's going to give us insights into how technology is transforming the way brands build relationship with consumers and how organizations like his, are dealing with this new age that we're in. So Ryan, welcome to Canada's podcast. Great to meet you. Before we get too deep into the conversation, as I always ask, tell us a little bit about who Ryan is, what you do, and why you got here, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, thank you very much for having me. This is awesome. Well, a little bit about me. So born in England, moved here when I was 7 with my dad and my mom and my family, come here to open up a Cadbury plant in Whitby. So no end of chocolate in our house. We had chocolate wall to wall. And sort of grew up in sort of East GTA and went to school for engineering, which is odd considering the position I have. But I went to school for engineering. And during my co-op, quickly realized I did not like engineering. It wasn't for me. I don't think it was engineering as much as it was the co-op that I didn't like as much. And was just fortunate enough at the time to be connected with a president of an experiential agency. And he needed some help on one of his campaigns, specifically that an engineer could deliver. So I helped him design the Budweiser Big Rig. And, that's pretty much how I got into marketing communications, and this whole side of the business. From there, did things, ran agencies that were traditional in focus, content in focus, digital in focus, media in focus. And now I'm kind of at a shop that brings all of that together perfectly, called Central Station. And it's sort of the great end, if I even want to call this an end to that journey that sort of every step along the way is prepared me for.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Coming out of school, otherwise great, nothing better.
Okay, yeah. So we chatted before, and we're both marketers, okay? But I am really, and I think everyone should be interested in your perspective to the current state of marketing, because it's been one of those. We've had various shifts over the last 25 years, and certainly in the last 2 to 3 years, I would say it's one of those, quantum changes.
Yeah.
So maybe you can sort of give everyone a sense of what that means to them, because they're all doing entrepreneurs and listening to us all do marketing. So give them some advice.
Yeah, I would say that the days of taking a year to create the ultimate campaign, sitting behind, working on strategy, working on insights, spending weeks, months developing that ultimate campaign have waned off because of that immediacy and that change in the digital and AI landscape. Today's campaigns need to be done quickly. They need to be efficient. And if they're not working, they can be swapped out so much easier than before. There wasn't a big billboard that you stood there and you put all the creative up and, it didn't work. Too bad, it's stuck there. Now, if something's not working, there's the immediacy, and agencies and marketers need to embrace that immediacy. The consumer and the shopper want the immediacy, so we have to also adapt to delivering that immediacy as well. And AI is a very strong tool in helping us do that, but it is changing the landscape every day. And if we don't sort of use it as a tool, you will be left behind. And so that would be one thing I would definitely recommend is get up to speed on AI. You don't need to be an expert at it, but definitely get up to speed on it because it is changing the way marketers market and the way consumers consume on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, even on my own thing, it used to take me a week to do a strategy. Now it takes me 4 hours, and
Right.
because I'm sitting with GPT, and it's
Yeah.
so I'm putting stuff in and I'm getting stuff back, and I can just get through a whole lot. So I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. So let's move away from the marketing side. You know, uh, what do you like best about being an entrepreneur? You where it's entrepreneurship is results focused kind of
Yeah.
career. Uh, why do you like that?
I love the uncertainty of the day to day. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I like not knowing what I'm doing tomorrow. I like the challenge that that presents. Being an entrepreneur, there was always a curveball every day. Something is slightly different. Something isn't what you were expecting. There are a lot of jobs where, on November 6th next year, you know exactly what you're doing. It's what you're doing today. But in the entrepreneurial space, it is not like that. There are so many changes, so many levels of uncertainty that it excites me about being an entrepreneur and a business leader for sure.
Stay ahead of the game with our expert tips and strategies that will help your business thrive in a digital era. CanadasPodcast.com. Subscribe now.
I hadn't thought about that, but this before. But I mean, what about AI and entrepreneurship? Does it kill a lot of that? Do you think?
No, like I said, AI is a tool. I'm going to say AI will never replace, but I don't think AI will ever replace
Hmm.
um, a lot of a lot of what it is. A lot of an entrepreneur is gut, is instinct, is drive. AI can't replace that. AI is a tool that can help you inform decisions, like you said, quickly. But no, it's still entrepreneurship is built into a person. It's not AI is not going to replace that.
Hmm. Interesting. You know, So you see there's still a good future for entrepreneurship based on the numbers, based on you look at it's growing and growing, but that's also based on AI because there's less and less jobs. So let's be
Exactly.
realistic about that. So there's
Yep.
more and more independent people.
Yep.
Um, let's move on to sort of some of the things that we face as entrepreneurs, the challenges. What would you say is the greatest challenge you've faced in your business to date?
Oh, well, outside of COVID, because we're so heavily in retail, COVID obliterated 80% of our business. So that was obviously a major hurdle. But
Hmm.
an entrepreneur, and my experience as an entrepreneur, the biggest challenge is that self motivation. Often you can feel lonely. You're often by yourself at the top of something, trying to drive and push and drag everybody and people along with you. So for me, the biggest challenge has been that feeling of it's all on my shoulders. And yes, I want to drive and yes, I want to push, but I got to drag all these people along. And sometimes that can be lonely, but it's that overcoming and the opportunities that come out of that I really enjoy about being an entrepreneur. So it's kind of an
Hmm.
equal challenge as an opportunity as I see it.
So those challenges you talk about, have you kind of developed a methodology to step through them?
Yeah, it's interesting. I once received some advice from someone, and all he said was, "Get started. You can sit, you can hum, and you can haw, you can second guess, you can think, you can just get started." That is something that helps me overcome that. I just get started. How many times have you sat even back in school and like, okay, I got to write an essay. Where do I start? Just start. Just start doing, and it will come. As an entrepreneur, I really find that helps me is just start, and then the results and the solutions and the pathway sort of opens in front of you because you've started. That
Hmm.
to me is one of the most important things that I've learned along my journey as an entrepreneur.
That's really just I like that. Um, What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? You know, that kind of, we've all gone through mentorships
Yeah.
with with people that we've worked with parents, whatever.
Yeah.
But on a, I guess on a business level, could be on a living level too. They're
Yeah.
pretty closely combined. Um,
Right.
uh, what you carry, in your back pocket that you kind of you hit it. It's a kind of challenge thing as well. You hit it and you go, oh yeah, I got to do this kind of thing.
For me, it's a phrase that someone told me as well when I was actually quite young. Eat the poisonous frog first. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you've heard that, but eat the poisonous frog first, meaning get the most horrendous, horrific task that you can imagine in your day out of the way first, and the rest of your day only gets better from there. So for me, it's always about eating the poisonous frog first. I generally I'm a big list writer. I write lists and I put in order of, I'll call it joy in the task that I have. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
put the poisonous frog, the least favorite, at the top of that list. So I make sure I knock it off first. That is probably the best advice I've received, along with just start, is eat
Mm-hmm.
that poisonous frog first for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. You know, you've got a lot of experience, um, and you've learned a lot. If you can help someone that's just starting their journey, can you pull a couple of things? I mean, not the challenge things, a couple of things. It may be the money side of it, maybe this, maybe that,
Yeah.
that you could pass on to somebody that's just beginning the journey.
Yeah. I would say, get ready for an amazing ride, because it is that. Is it a ride? It's a high, it's a low, it's no 2 days are the same. If you want comfort and certainty, entrepreneurship is certainly not the way to go, based on my experience. Um, but if you want excitement, joy, and fulfillment, entrepreneurship is 100% the way to go.
Oh, that's really cool.
Honestly, and maybe I'm just wired a little differently, but that
I
uncertainty,
was going.
I
I was
love.
about to say. I want. Well, are we wired differently? I mean,
I
we were
think,
talking beforehand. We both came from a technical background into marketing,
yeah.
but we didn't take jobs. So,
Right.
is there something different about an entrepreneur? I mean, if we're wired differently, how? What makes us different?
Um, we are comfortable in being afraid. We are comfortable in the potential of failure. I think we're comfortable in the uncertainty, and we're comfortable in taking risks. And I don't mean we sit back on the desk with our feet up and go, I'm super comfy cozy about taking this risk. I mean, we have calculated the risk in our head and we're willing to take that risk. I think our threshold is a lot longer for risk than certain people. And I think that's built into an entrepreneur. That's who you are at your core.
Mm.
So yes, I do think we're wired slightly differently.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, as one of my friends said to me, you can't work for anybody.
No, no.
you know.
I've had lots of those folks in my life. And it's like, you need to go and be an entrepreneur for sure.
Well, let's have some fun. I mean, you
Yeah,
know what? That was 15 minutes of really good stuff in terms of
yeah.
the
Brilliant.
industry. And if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing instead?
Oh, I'd be an athlete. I'd be a soccer player, 100% through and through. I
Which
love
which
competitive
team? Which
competition.
team?
Oh,
Which
Tottenham.
team? Which team do
Tottenham's
you
my
want
team.
to
Tottenham's my team. I would love to
play?
play for Tottenham back in London, but yeah, the competitive nature, the drive. It's similar to entrepreneurship, where you've got to kind of constantly keep yourself on the forefront. You can't sit back. You can't be complacent. But yeah, athlete for sure.
What book are you currently reading? Podcast, listening
Yeah,
to,
so
or
I'm not.
whatever that whatever.
Yeah, I'm not a big reader. My wife always tells me I have to read more, but I do listen to audiobooks in the car on my way to and from. And right now I'm listening to Atomic Habits, which I think is a great book. And most recently I just read The 5 a.m. Club.
Mhm.
And I'm a very much a morning person, so I like the still of the morning. I
Yeah.
like the energy that the morning brings, and it helped me. So it's kind of helped me compartmentalize my morning and break it up into stages for myself. And I'm
Mhm.
finding it's helping a lot. But right now, I'm
Okay.
listening to the Atomic Habits.
So if you had to pick one word to describe, who Ryan was, what would it be, and why would you choose it?
Um, One word I'd say driven. Um, Firstly, you'd
Uh,
have to be after 25 years of still doing the same thing and not being smart enough to realize that it's hard. But I am driven for sure. I want to keep pushing. I know where I want to get to. I'm going to get there. So I would say driven for sure would be the one word.
Discover the latest trends, strategies, and success stories in the ever-evolving world of business. CanadasPodcast.com. Subscribe now.
What's keeping you up at night?
Oh, like we talked about AI and technology and whatnot. For me, it's the uncertainty of the future. That
Hmm.
because it's changing, you mentioned it earlier, things are changing so much quicker now. That change and that rate of change is only going to get quicker. And it's
Yes, it
that
is.
uncertainty of the future, meaning how can we affect things in the future and what tools will we have to be able to affect that change? That's what keeps me up.
Yeah, it's also a challenge to learn those new tools as,
Oh, yeah.
as quickly as possible. I think
Yeah, I
it's
don't like,
cool.
I will never be the smartest person in the room, nor should I ever be.
Mhm.
But you're right. It's those people, you need the smart people that can help you learn the tools as quickly as possible.
One more question in terms of, you know, the marketing business, the creative business. How do people, I mean, having said that, I'm going to ask you the question, then I can answer it myself. How do people start something up? And, in terms of financing, how do they, I'm sitting here doing, doing design, doing web dev, da 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 da. How do I, how do I get out there and do, take the lead kind of thing?
I've done it two different ways. I did it myself, totally by myself, no support, off you go. And that was leveraging a single client that I had from my past and just starting. I said it earlier. I just started. They're like, you should go do that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go do that. And off I went and I started. And then I've also in my current space have partners. And they provide you with the support, financial support necessary to help you. But again, it is still just the get started. Don't second guess yourself. If you have that burn, if you have that think, if you have that thought, go. Just get started. And don't let anyone tell you can't. I know it's a cliche. Don't let anyone tell you you can't because you can. You 100% can. And it's just
Mhm.
off you go. Just get started.
That's cool. I think, I've loved the conversation. I think we've dumped a lot into 20 minutes basically.
For sure.
Um, but one last question, and okay, what's keeping you up at night was the election last night. We all know that, but
Yeah.
and let's not say anything about it.
No, we won't say more
but
about that one.
but apart from that, what is keeping you up at night, basically?
Yeah, like I said, the uncertainty of the future and where we're going and how will we be able to affect that change? What tools will we have? What technology will we have? What knowledge will we need to have to be able to affect that future? Being in the agency world and the marketing communications world, you kind of always have to stay ahead. And that's the hardest thing is how do you stay ahead when things are changing so fast?
I'm just thinking about the agency world. You and I grew up in the world of what I term the BFI world.
Right.
The big fucking idea kind of
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
Is that gone now?
No, no, the big idea is not gone. The big idea is still very much alive. The way you get that big idea out to your consumers or shoppers, that has dramatically changed. Um, there is still room in this world for that big idea. All manufacturers, CPGs, everybody's craving that big idea. but the way you get that in the hands of the consumer and the shopper has dramatically changed. It's not, the old, here's a flyer, out the door it goes. It comes in, you look at the flyer, you cut the little thing, and out you go to buy it. Yes, we still do that, but that is not driving things as much as social and digital and influencers and viral. And it's just the opportunities to get that message in front of folks has vastly changed, but then so has the dilution of the message, because there are so many different ways in which you can get it to people.
Great place to finish. Great place to finish, Ryan. I think, how can people, if they're hearing this, how can they get a hold of you online, basically?
Yeah, just reach out to me at ryan@centralstationto.com. More than happy to chat about anything. You want information, you want advice, you just want to wax poetic about anything, I'm always available. I'm always down for a chat. So please do reach out, and yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone.
Thanks for coming on Canada's podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Cheers.
What a great session with Ryan. I'm Phil Bliss. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter on our website, and subscribe on YouTube as well, or any of the major podcast channels. Thanks for listening to Canada's podcast, where you meet the entrepreneurs that are driving Canada's economy. See you soon.